Sometimes we have the feeling that our life is always a construction process and not. Sometimes we think we are just adding. There are also subtractions. In the losses I faced for me to be who I am, man, I truly believe it. I keep thinking of you too, which daily faces losses with a temptation to think that these losses are only negative, that they do not condense possibilities. Yes, how many times in my life I could because I lost. And the moment we are losing, we do not have the clarity that this can be a gain. It is interesting to think that Gethsemane is the place where you remove the best of the fruit. Yes, if the olive is not crushed, it does not reach the olive oil it can offer. It is necessary that the movement of that large stone starts from the small fruit which it has the best. No wonder Jesus went to suffer in this place, right? And no wonder this literary construction puts us in the face of some more difficult times in the life of Jesus. He is about to be killed, about to face all the suffering of the Holy Afternoon. That Friday that for us, within Holy Week, is a special moment for our reflection as well. But Jesus is about to live his Calvary, and he knows it. When you love, when you choose to love, when you choose to have a child, even when you choose to have a puppy indoors, you choose to love that creature. You started a process of suffering. Why suffering? Love. He generates insecurity, fear of losing peace for the rest of his life. Put a child in the world and you lose peace for the rest of your life. Priest, what a pessimistic view. No, it is not. This is realism. You live happier when you love it, but you get much more disadvantaged because you love it. But this unrest is good. He motivates us. He instigates us. He makes us more alive. He brings liveliness to our days. It's good to love, but from the moment you love, you suffer, because you are a creature. Because, my people, we all need to pass. I don't know. Maybe daily. Right? But throughout our week, how many Gethsemanes do we have to pass? And if you think, of course, smaller Gethsemanes, others not so big but not so small, you just look at everything that was Calvary in your life, and you will find out how important these Calvaries were for the purification of your rest. He calls friends to be with him, and not even those friends are able to participate in his suffering. This is interesting because what Jesus wanted at that moment was the company of friends. Do you understand very well what that means? Because also at the time of your suffering, you don't like being alone. It's good for you to have someone you love by the side. It helps to live the press of suffering. But these friends were unable to offer Jesus what he expected from them. Company, friendship, a friendly man, as we like to say. And he had to face everything alone. But he faced with great dignity and faced teaching us. Only with this passage do we have to take from our head the pretense that the other will be everything to us. No. Nor did Jesus have friends like that. The others will be in accordance with their possibilities, but I need to be with all my possibilities. It is my possibilities that will define how much this suffering will make me grow or not. How much this suffering will build me. And building me, guys, begins to build those who are by my side and those who pass me after that pain visit me. Then suffering will always be inherent in the human condition. Jesus suffered at this moment precisely because his incarnation was not only apparent, he truly embodied, was a real man. We talk about this in Christology. The mystery of the incarnation is not just a theater. No, he has truly became man. And being truly man, he experienced human feelings. He suffered the pain of seeing his friend die, felt thirsty, felt hungry, felt cold, was afraid, fear of death, felt the loneliness of even having friends around. They were sleeping and indifferent from what was going on with him. I say again, we don't have to run after suffering. He will come. He is natural in our lives. We suffer precisely because we are a creature. We are limited. The simple fact that you love to love is to suffer. It is not another thing. Because when we are in the dynamics of suffering, we have no time or willingness for the superfluous. It is as if suffering judged us to seek what we actually have more precious. It is as if we are judged to a territory that safeguards what we have the most tasty, more valuable, most precious. But it is very special when we realize that this care of God in our lives occurs from the crises we face. It may seem a little contradictory, right? Does God love me allowing me crises? Because there is no other way to grow. Everything you faced in life, which was painful to you, you can be sure it was very important for you to get to where you arrived. And this hand of God, which will help us live the dynamics of faith, it manifests itself in our lives in various ways. A friend who tells us a mother's advice, a word of brother in God holds us by the hand. It gives us a position to face the stone of suffering, allowing the pain to become a special opportunity to feel that this hand of God leads us like this, and that it will be no different from what it was for Jesus, who also at the time of his suffering felt alone, thought he had someone beside him. No, as much as we want, as much as we have people on the side, ultimately suffering is absorbed there in solitude. As much as I want to share, I arrive in a limit that does not give a more to divide. As much as the other is on my side, it's mine, and I need to handle it all. To pass the entrance exam, you need to study the suffering of everyday life. To become a good professional, you need to dedicate yourself to studies. And so life goes. Then for you to further improve your professional life, you will have to do a lot of course, a lot of specialization. This is how it works. So it is impossible to remove the growth of partnership with suffering. It's not that we are masochists. No. Just face daily issues, and you will have a good deal of reasons. Reasons to believe in the healing power that suffering has in our history. I know it's not easy. If we could, we would jump. Just like when we were a child. That you have those games where you have the opportunity to jump a phase. I'll jump. I have the right to skip a phase. I will jump. In life, it is not so. No. You can't skip the phase. What we need is to live part by the part, managing these difficulties and realizing the healing power they have in us. Because it also makes us keep liveliness on the way. When I identify that difficulty I'm facing, that I'm going through, it has a transformation power in my life. I keep looking at myself, right? How many stages of my life that were heavy, difficult, that at the time I was passing, I wanted almost to flee that. If I look at the story I've lived to this day, the losses were fundamental for me to have the courage I have. The convictions that today shape me. If I had lost less, maybe I hadn't reached so much. When I speak to reach, I'm not referring to a vanity of becoming who I could become. So many losses were necessary for me to be able to be the man I am now. Sometimes we can't have a good view of life. It's because we only focus on what is happening. Looking at everything I had to face, for example, the death of my sister, which was a very difficult time for all of us at home, was particularly a heavy jetsmain in my life, in my story. You will always be living the dynamics of that burial. People don't leave at once. You get used to that absence. It is a land of earth a day. It is not buried at once. Whoever goes through this knows. You don't have to say much, no. It is a collective pain. Because you, besides having the whole personal dimension of pain, you still have to help manage the other side. Losing is not easy. As Miyakoto said, right? Dead beloved never stop dying. But when you open the range to see the events, everything that surrounds you right now, your vision gets better. The death of my sister meant a time of much anguish that extended, of course. We are being healed for time. Today I speak very naturally about my sister's death. But at the time, my God of heaven, how it lasted inside me. Of course, we don't want it to anyone. Of course, it is much better for us to grow. even without these cruel deaths. Of course, we do not want the death of our children so that we can grow. No. But the fact is that when suffering knocks on our door, what we need to do most is to look at this suffering closely, not to look away from him and pay attention to what he intends to tell us, so that he is not in vain, so that our losses are not in vain, so that our losses are not in vain, so that our sufferings are not in vain, so that our struggles are not in vain. It's a matter of maturity, my people. It is a matter of maturity. I can be able to look at what is painful in my life and put it in favor of my growth, my personal maturity. God sometimes protects us when it tells us no. I like to say, that's it, my people. Our pains need to be shared, our anguish, our anxieties, because the more we talk about them, especially here, in this space that is so sacred for me, I have no way to control what you will do of what I am saying, but I am aware that it is important to me to say, because when we say somehow, we begin to organize within us what is disorganized. It is a way you have to commit to what is happening. Yes, because after you win this pain, once you win this suffering, you go to the road with a disposition you didn't have before. If you take seriously the healing power that suffering has, this pain that visits you today, which leaves you disasters, this loss that today you need to face, allow God to put this hand, allow God to grant you this protection, so that you have the courage to challenge yourself, go beyond, and live very serenity and wisdom this moment of pain that you have faced today. It is His hand that sustains you, just as you sustained your child. There is no difference. The same as God offered Jesus, He offers us as well. The courage to go ahead, to climb the salad of pain, reach the Calvary, and after death experience this resurrection. And I don't talk about a body death, no. I speak of death that all suffering causes us. That's when, for example, you are disappointed with a person. Naturally dies something inside you, but this disappointment cannot embrace you. This is how we surpass moments of difficulty. This is how we grow up as people, when we get a broader look at the realities that surround us. When dying, what was once so alive within you allow you to become better. Start seeing people with less illusions. Look at them with more reality. Oh, it will be so much better to live. You will be more mature. You will be waiting less from others and recruiting more of yourself. Those who expect a lot from the other recruit less about themselves. Those who recruit less about themselves lose the opportunity to grow.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey at Path of Faith. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this.
You may be on the wrong way. The more God is in us, the greater our ability to look at the world's Calvaries and come to Him with reverence. Live with your poems before writing them. It has patience if obscure. Calm down if they tease you. Expects each one to take place and consume with their power of word and their power of silence. The poet's recommendation is wise and pertinent. A poem is just, well, only good. Matured in the sowing of silence. Before becoming a word, poetry is the silent life experience. Artists know this, and we need to learn. It takes time to what you need to say. Get rid of the hurry of wanting to give orders to the world. It is easier for us to repent of a said word than from silence. Wrong word at the wrong time can become wound in the one who heard, also in the one who said. There are many moments in life when silence is the wisest answer we can give to someone. In a hurry to speak, we risk saying what we don't want. And in the face of all that has been said, we do not always have the possibility of fixing the error. Wrong words often hurt for the rest of their lives. Already the right silences, they have the gift of fixing. Therefore, it prepares well the word that will be said. Hurry words do not match wisely. The sages always prefer silence, and in its few words, an inexhaustible source of wisdom is condensed. Do not fall into the temptation of banal discourse, simplistic explanation. Want the depth of speech that asks us to calm down. Calm down to say, calm to hear. An interesting rule for us to have a good understanding of a text is precisely the calm. Only in this way can we enter the meanings that the author wanted to suggest, and consequently, dive into the mystery of his text. Hurry readings can foster misconceptions, and misconception is a kind of disagreement. He who writes and the one who reads. It is a form of obstacle to understanding language. In everyday verbal communication, this always happens. We say and are not understood. Given the impasse, two realities are possible. Either someone said in a hurry or someone heard without attention. Saying and listening requires silence. Just say well. The one who thought before what he would say. And here's the one who's silent to listen. The rule is simple, but demanding. So today, in this time of many words, we want the beauty of the few silences. I know that we are often victims of the damn words. It is not a few times when damn words come to our ears. A word can be damn because of the content it has or because of the form. Today I was reading a text, coincidentally, talking about the music of the words. And the writer was saying that for each word there is a different song that we can put in it. So you can say something very tough to someone, but you put a song that does well in the ear of those who listen. So the person listens to that hard word, but with a beautiful song. Maybe that's what Jesus knew how to do all the time. Jesus said very hard things, but the music of Jesus' words was extremely seductive. Because he knew very well it was no use saying things without musicality. It's no use that we say things with braveness. No, we will be much better understood if we look for a soft song to put the word hard. You experience this in your life every day when you need to say something very serious to your children. And sometimes you don't even know where to start because you are afraid of the content you will say. The content is hard, it is demanding. And our children are not very used to being required. They have entered this mystique of today's world. This trend of today's world that everything has to be very simple. Everything has to be very easy and fast. And educating children often requires a hard and demanding speech. Then you will find out with Jesus that it is possible to say hard things with attractive musicalities. This is what made people stop to pay attention to what Jesus had to propose. The kingdom of God that Jesus proposed was not easy, it was not simple. It is hard work to build a kingdom. But he built in such a tender way that people forgot the harshness of the word and attached themselves to the music that involved that word. My people, often what we do wrong is not what we say, but it's as we say. It is the music we put in the sentence. It may be that today you wounded someone with what you said. It may be that today you have been injured by someone with what you said. And maybe you didn't go wrong in what you said. You were right about what you said. You were right to claim what you claimed or tell that truth you said. But you may not have chosen the best way to say. Maybe you got lost in hurry, in anger. It's strange. In life, we lose tenderness when we get annoyed, because the wrath, it has the power to remove us wisdom. And when we are out of wisdom, we usually don't know how to put music in the word. We all like music. We all like to hear what came in one day inside our hearts, did us good. Why? The word came with music. She didn't come alone. The interpreter put such a beautiful intention in that word that you really believed what he was singing. A well-interpreted song, it expresses all the power of truth that the composer wanted to give. But he who interprets, the good interpreter, he makes the song even more true than when he was born from the composer's hand. because he knew how to put the intention of the voice. When I taught at the theology college, there at the Faculty of Union, I always told my students that they would be priests one day. Be careful not to have a tone of voice, way of talking like everyone else. Seek the melody of words. Search your way of saying, and that way of saying evangelical truths, that your way of teaching the gospel, the word of Jesus, the good things in life, are in accordance with what you truly believe and identify in this world as tenderness. The word may be hard, but the music that surrounds the word does not need to be. Because then you will have a power to convince much greater than if you were using the hard word with a cover. An armor. No, we are all afraid of armor because she reminds us of war. And sometimes, instead of putting melody, music, in our word, we put armor. We know that in the logic of our loves, it is very easy to love when we are right to love. Even because sometimes in life, and this is usually how it works, not only do we think it is how it works, love revolves a lot around the reasons. Now, the surprising is when you find that inside you, there is an ability to love that is independent of the reasons. Let's say that in 90% of your love, you love from reasons. It's very simple. The other does something that deserves its predilection. The other represents something that deserves the predilection. The other did something in life that opened your eyes so that you perceive, and suddenly your love naturally walked towards the one who awakened it in you. But you cannot deny that even when you have reasons to love someone, once in a while love bumps into you for no reason, and you discover a source of gratuity. The other did nothing for you. The other said nothing to you. But your gaze hit, and you were able to love him, even without reasons. If I love naturally those who give me reason to love, and if much of my love, if the 90% of my lovability are moved, they are towards those who give me reason. The conversion is that we have to diminish these 90% to give greater space to that love that is not right. Because only the moment we discover the love that is not right will we get into the deepest feeling that God taught us through Jesus. If you think Jesus had very few reasons to love yours, he betrayed it all the time. His friends betrayed. His friends lied to him. And if you humanly want to say that Jesus didn't have many reasons to keep loving your friends, you're right. Because you do your analysis from this logic that is common today, which has always been common in the history of humanity. We continue to love as the other corresponds to what we expect from him. But what if the moment you stop corresponding and you find that you still love it, then you are somehow living the consequence of that ejaculatory that my mother taught me when I was a child. Asking the heart of Jesus, may he give me a heart similar to his. How many times have I, as a child, prayed that without understanding? Make my heart similar to yours. Having a heart similar to the heart of Jesus means you enter this less percentage of loving without reason and die laden. You do not know even 1% of humanity, but you can love this whole humanity. The meaning of Christian love puts us in the possibility of anyone that we find today for life, even if I do not have the opportunity to live. But my encounter is loving. There is a beautiful word. You have never seen that person in life, but at that moment your reserve of love, this love that does not need reasons, exerted a dominion over you. And when you were dominated by this free love model, the whole world won in that gesture. Because where there is a person acting in the name of kindness, God's love will be prevailing in the world. Where there is a person today willing to live the love of gratuity, God will be winning from it. This is the challenge of all of us. You know very well how much you have free love within you. I know very well how much I have inside me. That's what we're talking about, my people. We are finding that when the other is unpalatable to me, I have to unfold toward him. It is not for the sake of vanity you are better than him. No. It is for the hatred of the world to decrease from our ability to love. Sometimes we have so many people who don't like us. So many people who speak badly about us, who treat us badly. We don't have to give the same result. No, we will not negotiate with the same coin, because so we make the world worse than it already is. I don't want a worse world. You want, I am sure that it is not. So make a difference in these small measures, and we grow up as a person. We approach Jesus. We talk so much that we want to be similar to Jesus. But Jesus had a huge ease of loving those who hated him. Those who hated him, he loved anyway. Approaching those who treat us badly and offering a kindness gesture is a beautiful way we have to show that we are not at war. Because sometimes our silence can say that we are at war too, no? Approach. Treat well. Get well what arrives, even if he doesn't like you. The problem is his. He who doesn't like it. Do you make your effort to work your humanity? Why? Because you don't want to join the court of hatred in today's world. I think it's beautiful, my people. Jesus' ability to look at the miserable and think that this religion started like this. To think that all this is motivated by this mystique. The absurdity, oh for God. You think that where human misery exists, even if it is the one that ashames us, there the love of God screams, asks for passage, and who knows that we will stop wearing this vanity of holiness. We will remove the masks from us, 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 from us fight off and prevent us from approaching others. Maybe we will gain a different, more merciful look, knowing that in the fragility of the other, I am mirrored too. That when I look at the other's sin, I'm seeing mine too. That's why I may reject so much. Because I'm seeing what I don't like to see in myself. God has to open our eyes to these things, my people. Because all the time Jesus was busy with these people, he was not afraid. He was not afraid of prostitutes. He was not afraid of the thieves, because he knew who he knew very well it was, and what he could do in their lives. Take possession of this look of Jesus, so that we take possession in this specific way of Jesus, being so that we can be, in the small measures, also like him. That does not fit within us, this vain holiness that distances us from others. If your holiness distances you from those who need your mercy, be careful, because it is not written here, and the enemies will be the family themselves. Who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Who does not take your cross and does not follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever seeks your life will lose it, and whoever loses his life because of me will find it. It is not Sao Paulo who is saying this, not John, it is Jesus. It is a text said by the Master himself. Look how interesting, my people. When you realize that this harsh word of Jesus is to help us understand the cross of life. He didn't come to pass butter on bread. He did not come to propose to him with each other. Christ himself tells us that this sword he puts within our relationships is precisely to make us grow. It is to make the papers well. It is the experience of confrontation that this we will live all our lives. Do not think that your relationship with your mother is a beautiful relationship that will never be questioned. No, it's not like that. The mother and daughter relationship, if you do not establish this confrontation at the right time, peace is not enough, because that veiled conflict is. It's not like this. The same thing in our relationship endures. When you realize that there is a conflict that never resolved because the issues were never put out. He had the courage to put on the table. I remember well. The day because the minor has a hard time establishing a clash with his own mother. The mother is a sacred territory that we do not have the courage to question. And I remember that this is very cultural. We come from a family, a matriarchal cultural structure, where women have a great power. And I remember when this conscience came to me and I spoke to my mother, I love you so much. But I am also able to hate her. Then we take that fright, a child hate your mother, not hatred in the sense of wanting to kill. So, mother, you are a sacred territory, but I have to have the courage to recognize the excesses you teased in me. Then, my people. It seems that a sword cuts their hearts. Right? But the resurrection that comes later, because you get rid of you begin to have the courage to establish confrontations with all the respect your mother needs and deserves. Mother is a sacred territory that should never be disrespected, but can be contested at the right time and the right way. You chose to live like this. This is not my choice. So we need to keep loving, we can establish this clash, and we keep living with deep respect for each other. And so, when Jesus says that he brought this clash, this sword, is not to separate us from each other. No, it is to unite us the right way. Because sometimes a union only really happens after many conflicts. We need to get rid of the naive views. This person is perfect. Look how beautiful our love is. Then it lasts 2-3 years until the princes remove the masks. And you find that it is just a rhino that had a cute face at first, and is a monster capable of trampling everything you have the most sacred. So we remove the naive view of our relationships, and then you start to have a palpable terrain where love is possible. Yes, imperfect people can love and establish very beautiful, very edifying, very interesting relationships. But then from now on, I will dispute everything. No, it's not like that. Be wise. It begins to identify what in your life needs to be confronted. Many situations are not resolved, but we don't do the right way because we complain all the time. All the time we complain, we scream, but we do not confront. The confrontation is when you mark the time, the place, sit everyone at the table, or sits you and your husband and speak. Look. Do you know what you are doing? This is not fair to me, it is not fair to your children, and if you do not make a decision, we will act. It's the same to be assaulted, right? There are people who get used to the aggression. The whole life is assaulted and gets used to the condition of victim. It's not like this. It can't be like that. We have to problematize what in life is assaulting us. Because sometimes aggression is not a slap, it is not a kick. It is not. It's a word, it's a look, it's a posture, it's a way of interpreting. So, if I interpret the other as an internal territory where I can manifest all my wrath, where I can dump all my excesses. So if we do not establish the confrontation that will break this process that gets sick, it is very likely that we die without having the possibility of stepping on the promised land we can reach. Then Jesus continues, "Who loves his father and his mother more than me is not worthy of me." We can first think that Jesus is needy here, right? Oh, he just wants love for him. No, this is also a naive vision. Let's overcome these naive views. Here, the love that Jesus is speaking refers to the ability of us to take everything he teaches us and put it much more important as what my father and mother taught me. May my father and mother, because they are marked by sin, teach me a lot of things. Oh, but it teaches me a lot of wrong things. With his own example indoors. How many of us, you who are watching me, can you say that? How many wrong things in life did you see inside your home? And you don't have to go too far to see the perdition of the world. Sometimes it is inside with a lack of testimony, with a lack of honesty, with a lack of truth. The vices we criticize so much that they are present around the world. Sometimes they are here inside our home, on our side, being promoted by people who love us and giving an example to children who are growing up. Our sides need conversion, yes, my people. So when Jesus speaks, who loves his father and his mother more than me, is not worthy of my kingdom. Why? Because it cannot come to the kingdom that is not convinced, touched, modified by the mind of Christ. It is Christianity. It is the mind of Christ in mine. It is the thinking of Christ in mine. But that looks like a horrible dependence, is it? If you want to look like a dependence, but it is a dependence that only does me good. Because there is no word of Jesus. There is not one advice that he has left, which opposes my happiness. Father Fabio, how to identify which cross will take us to heaven? It's the cross of each day, isn't it? I always say the cross is great, but it breaks down in small pieces. There is no Christianity without cross. We cannot admit human life without difficulty. Within Christianity, we call this cross. On the climb of Jesus to the Calvary, he physically took a cross. But all Jesus' life was marked by crosses he had to take. For what? For him to reach the place he needed to arrive. For him to be who he was. Jesus was very aware of the effort he needed to do to be who he was. He gave no respite to his human process. Even though he was God, he was not deprived of being a man. This is very interesting to identify in Jesus, a constant struggle for maturity. Of course, Jesus had to lighten into his heart, within his mind, God's project for his life. It was human, that knowledge of God's project, and he was taking his little cross in everyday life like us. He faced the human difficulties, cried for the friends who died. Must have been annoyed too. Must have. Of course, the Holy Scripture shows us, right? He breaking everything there, annoyed with everyone. He lived his cross day to day to be who he was, for him to be who he is. And this project for us too, my son. We have all the forces of the sacrament that incorporate us into the life of Christ for us to handle this cross. I keep thinking, guys, that we need to fight all the time so we don't get lost, so we don't miss the opportunity to be who we are. And we couldn't be who we are. This potential that God put in each of us. The priest I went to today is the priest God expects me to be. The father you got to be today for your children. The friend you were. The boyfriend you were. Is it what God projected? I do not believe it is, because there is still much to be sought. And how are we getting there? As we assume our sacrifices, our day-to-day struggles. And that's what we call the cross. And this human fulfillment is a way of anticipating in time this coming to heaven. This arrival in the sky is eschatological. It will happen definitively at the time of our death. Or not, right? It depends on what we were doing, the sky we built here, but they unfold into historical responsibilities. Today, I have the opportunity to choose to be who I will be. And that is to assume my cross or not, because though I am a good human being, for me to make a pact with kindness, I have to make my sacrifices. Evil always leaves a message in my window. Evil will always knock on our door, trying to seduce us, trying to make us leave. Oh, it doesn't make this sacrifice today, right? Live light, right? It is a process that we cannot neglect. The cross of each day, the suffering of each day are definitive so that we can become who we can be. Otherwise, we die without getting there. Days without having known, without updating in life, the potential God has placed in us. It's very sad, right? You see a bitter person dying without being who she could have been. It is unfortunate when you discover that a person decided to waste the time of her life being a miserable, living these miseries, assuming these miseries in the wrong way. To assume the cross and carry this cross is that we manage the miseries well, and what makes us suffer. So much bad thing happening in the world, Where is this born? It is born among people like us. So many bad things are designed around the world, so much violence being gestated, so much injustice being practiced. Why? Someone decided to be bad. Someone decided not to take the cross. Someone decided not to make the sacrifice to be better. Because it is hard to be people. It is hard work to be better. You have to fight every day. You can't neglect. Because if not soon, you become a selfish. Soon you become jealous. In a moment, you start to harm others. Why? Because it did not make the sacrifice to tame his willow. And these are things that are part of Christianity, and sometimes we stop talking. How many times do we omit to talk about it? No. Christianity is a cross. Yes. Enjoy. And I live seeking my joys every day, but from my crosses. My life is real. The joy does not reign in the backyard of my house every day. I have to open the space for it to happen. It is built at 4 hands. God delivers the gift, but I do my part. My effort. So identifying the cross that takes us to heaven is that you look forward. Find out what today in life needs to be administered. What difficulties you have. This is your cross. This is the sky. Starting or not. Sometimes we advance the construction of the sky.